if you have a completely different path of technology, one that's not utilizing internal combustion engines and cranes.
Resonance frequencies, everything vibrates. Have you ever, like if we had an electric razor, we plugged it in, turned it on, set it on this table, bzz, it's going to move around, isn't it? You ever seen that?
Yeah.
That's the beginning of the concept.
Have you ever stopped and wondered how much we truly underestimate the people who lived thousands of years before us? Not just farmers and warriors, but thinkers, engineers, problem solvers. What if the ancient world was not primitive at all, but quietly brilliant in ways we are only beginning to understand? And what if we are still uncovering technologies from the past that feel almost futuristic? That question opens a door most history books barely touch. Because when we think of technology, our minds jump to smartphones, artificial intelligence, and space exploration. But technology is not about screens or electricity. Technology is about solving problems using the tools, materials, and knowledge available at the time. By that definition, ancient humans were some of the most innovative technologists in history. And once you see that, you cannot unsee it. Think about this for a moment. How did people without modern machines build structures that still stand after thousands of years? How did they track planets, time, and seasons with shocking accuracy? How did they move massive stones, store information, communicate across distances, and manipulate materials at a microscopic level without modern science? These questions pull us deeper, and as we search for answers, we realize something unsettling yet inspiring. We may be advanced, but we are not as original as we think. Let us start with one of the most astonishing inventions ever discovered. A device pulled from a shipwreck at the bottom of the Mediterranean Sea. At first glance, it looked like a lump of corroded metal, but inside it hid an intricate system of gears, dials, and inscriptions. This object, now known as the Antikythera Mechanism, was built over 2,000 years ago. It could predict solar and lunar eclipses, track planetary movements, calculate cycles of time, and even mark athletic games. In essence, it was an analog computer, not inspired by modern computers, but preceding them by nearly 2 millennia. What makes this more unsettling is not just that it existed, but that it seemed to appear out of nowhere. There is no clear evolutionary trail of simpler versions leading up to it. It suggests that ancient Greek engineers possessed mathematical and mechanical knowledge that was later lost. Imagine how many such inventions disappeared with burned libraries, collapsed empires, and forgotten languages. This is not just history. This is a reminder that progress is not a straight line. Sometimes humanity moves forward, and sometimes it forgets. And speaking of forgotten knowledge, consider Roman concrete. Modern concrete cracks, erodes, and requires constant maintenance. Yet Roman harbors, bridges, and domes have survived earthquakes, salt water, and centuries of weather. For a long time, no one understood why. Then scientists discovered that Roman concrete contained volcanic ash and lime that reacted with seawater to form new crystals over time. Instead of weakening, the structure healed itself. Even more astonishing, discoveries in the mid-2000s revealed evidence of ancient Roman construction sites where this material was actively mixed using techniques that modern builders had never documented before. Today, engineers are studying this formula to develop sustainable, long-lasting construction materials that could reduce carbon emissions. Now pause and think about that. An ancient civilization unintentionally solved a modern environmental crisis through material science. This opens another loop. How many ancient solutions exist that we have not yet rediscovered? Another mystery comes from ancient Mesopotamia in the form of simple clay jars containing metal rods. These objects, often called the Baghdad batteries, may have produced a small electric charge when filled with acidic liquid. While historians debate their exact purpose, experiments show they could generate electricity. Some researchers believe they were used for electroplating, a technique we associate with modern metallurgy. Whether battery or ritual object, the idea that ancient people may have experimented with electrical principles centuries before modern science reshapes how we view early innovation. Water, one of humanity's most basic needs, also drove remarkable technological creativity. Ancient civilizations developed complex systems to lift, transport, and store water long before electric pumps existed. Devices like the Sakya and the Archimedes screw allowed water to be raised from rivers and wells efficiently. These were not random inventions. They required understanding of rotation, gravity, force, and balance. In many parts of the world, variations of these technologies are still used today, proving their effectiveness. And then there is automation. Most people assume automation began with factories, but ancient engineers were already experimenting with self-moving systems. In the 1st century, Hero of Alexandria designed mechanical devices powered by steam, air pressure, and weights. One of his inventions involved steam escaping through nozzles to spin a sphere. It served no industrial purpose at the time, but conceptually, it was a steam turbine. The idea existed. The spark was there. History simply took a long pause before reigniting it. In 2025, researchers are increasingly turning to ancient technologies for inspiration. Sustainable architecture, passive cooling systems, natural ventilation, and low-energy materials often trace their roots to ancient designs. In hot climates, ancient buildings used thick walls, courtyards, and airflow channels to regulate temperature without electricity. These methods are now being revived to combat climate change. There is also renewed interest in ancient energy systems. Wind catchers, water mills, and gravity-based mechanisms offer low-impact alternatives to modern energy solutions. Even ancient farming techniques like crop rotation, irrigation canals, and soil enrichment are being studied to improve food security today. What ties all of this together is a powerful realization. Ancient technology was not inferior. It was different. It was shaped by environment, necessity, and deep observation rather than speed and mass production, and in many ways, it was more sustainable than modern systems. So the next time you hear the word ancient, do not think outdated. Think ingenious, think resilient, think visionary, because the people of the past were not stumbling in the dark. They were experimenting, failing, learning, and building foundations that still support us today. And here is the final question to leave you with. If ancient humans, with no modern science, could create technologies that still amaze us, what are we capable of if we combine modern tools with ancient wisdom? If this journey through ancient technologies opened your mind even a little, then take a moment to like this video so more people can rediscover the brilliance of the past. Share it with someone who believes history is boring. And subscribe if you want more stories that connect ancient knowledge with modern innovation. Because the past is not gone, it is waiting to teach us how to build a better future. This brings us to an uncomfortable but fascinating truth. Sometimes technology fails not because it is impossible, but because society is not ready for it. Ancient innovations were often limited by economic systems, energy sources, or political stability. Imagine if steam power had been pursued seriously in ancient times. Would the Industrial Revolution have occurred 1,000 years earlier? We will never know, but the question lingers. Now let us shift from the Mediterranean to South Asia, where ancient urban planning reached levels that still impress modern architects. The cities of the Indus Valley Civilization, built over 4,000 years ago, featured grid-based layouts, standardized bricks, sophisticated drainage systems, and private sanitation in homes. Wastewater flowed through covered drains that were cleaned regularly. Even today, many cities struggle to achieve this level of urban hygiene. The most intriguing part is that we still cannot read their script. A civilization capable of such planning left behind written records that remain undeciphered, keeping their full technological knowledge locked away. From cities to sound, ancient people also mastered communication in unexpected ways. In recent years, researchers studied prehistoric seashells used over 6,000 years ago. These shells were modified to produce loud, controlled sounds that could travel across long distances. They functioned as signal devices, allowing people to communicate across valleys and caves. In essence, these were early long-distance communication tools. No wires, no electricity, just acoustics, physics, and human ingenuity. And this idea of using nature as technology appears again and again. In ancient China, Engineers drilled deep into the earth using bamboo tools to extract salt. Some of these wells reached depths that rival early modern drilling efforts. Even more impressive, they encountered natural gas and developed methods to transport and burn it safely. This shows an understanding of underground resources and energy management that predates modern fossil fuel industries. Another ancient technology that still feels almost mythical is Greek fire, a weapon so powerful it burned on water and terrified enemies. Its exact chemical composition remains unknown to this day. It was deployed using pressurized systems and ignition mechanisms that required precise control. This was not accidental chemistry. It was advanced chemical engineering combined with military strategy. The loss of this formula reminds us again how fragile knowledge can be. Now, let us step into architecture and earthquake engineering. In India, temples built nearly 1,000 years ago have survived countless seismic events. Their secret lies in interlocking stone blocks, flexible foundations, and elevated platforms that absorb shock. These buildings were not just spiritual centers. They were engineering solutions designed to endure natural forces. Modern researchers now study these structures to improve earthquake-resistant design. As we move closer to the present, new discoveries continue to challenge our assumptions. In the mid-2000s, archaeologists uncovered evidence of ancient textile technologies far more advanced than previously believed. Microscopic analysis of fabrics revealed complex weaving patterns, chemical dyes, and fiber treatments that required precise temperature control and chemical knowledge. These were not crude clothes, they were engineered materials. Then there is ancient medicine. Long before modern hospitals, civilizations developed surgical tools, prosthetics, and detailed anatomical knowledge. Ancient skulls show evidence of successful brain surgery with healed bone edges. Medical texts describe sterilization techniques using heat, alcohol, and herbs. In some cases, ancient physicians understood the importance of cleanliness and isolation centuries before germ theory. Now let us add a few more technologies that often remain in the shadows. Consider ancient navigation. Polynesian explorers crossed vast oceans without compasses or maps. They read stars, waves, winds, and animal behavior to navigate thousands of kilometers with remarkable accuracy. This was not guesswork. It was a sophisticated knowledge system passed down through generations. Consider timekeeping. Long before mechanical clocks, ancient societies used water clocks, shadow clocks, and astronomical alignments to measure time with surprising precision. Some ancient observatories aligned perfectly with solstices and equinoxes, functioning as massive calendar systems carved into stone. Consider writing and information storage. Clay tablets, papyrus, and inscriptions were technologies designed to preserve knowledge. Some systems used standardized symbols, indexing methods, and even encryption. Information technology did not begin with computers. It began with the human need to remember and transmit knowledge. And now comes a crucial open loop. If ancient people achieved all of this with limited tools, what does that say about human potential? Are we progressing because we are smarter, or because we inherited centuries of accumulated wisdom? If this journey through ancient technologies opened your mind even a little, then take a moment to like this video so more people can rediscover the brilliance of the past. Share it with someone who believes history is boring, and subscribe if you want more stories that connect ancient knowledge with modern innovation. Because the past is not gone, it is waiting to teach us how to build a better future.